Oh shit, no. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. So that was kind of my fault. So I um I had the wrong sound device as selected, so it was trying to, allow a different kind of app. So I'm here now. My apologies. And then let's just see. I don't know if we can flip the camera A, but more like that. Yeah, I'm just a normal person with shit. So anyway, I could see my voice going up and down, so I think we're good. Okay, so um, confirm you can hear me. Anyway, yeah, so my kids are having allergies, and then I had to go in and help. So I did start to get ready a little early. In my defense, I was like, if I, start getting right now, I could probably jump on right on time. But I mean, what I do doesn't really have a specific time. So I mean, like your mom and someone needs you to pack their lunch, or are sick, then doesn't really matter what else is going on. What's up, Will? Glad you can make it. So yeah, sometimes I'll be able to sit and write an email. Especially if I'm kind of just sitting around having my think time. But this is kind of too what I like to do live streams for. So it just is easier to sit and chat, one night a month. And but of course, I love emails, especially. You know what? I'm actually publishing my book list, but I could send you maybe a few of the best, and then I think that we were talking about. You were saying something like you're really interested in basically numbers. It's really interesting that like the human body is like the living matrix, and I think it's all highly interesting. Everything manifests and is in these different ways. Just like I think we've talked about it, but your dog. Let's just say there's the idea of a ghost. The dog is going to hear it before a human, consciously does. But a human has better eyesight than a dog, and so humans will see movement out of their periphery shadows because we have better eyesight. So as the entity manifests on the physical plane, then the human eyes are able to pick that up. It's similar to how when people see EMF, they actually see energy like that. They're seeing that out of the corner of their eye. That's just electricity manifesting, but it's approaching the range of frequency that is a normal visual kind of thing. So it's an idea, but a dog is smelling it. So it's not that things are specific. It's like just a smell or just a sight. It's all about how those waves are interpreted, which of our senses is stronger or might interact with it that the best. So I do think that is, just a really interesting idea. So I think that some people have their senses really open, and whatever. I've got lots of theories, but anyway, how's you guys' weekend going. So what is it, Friday? Kind of Friday. Well, it's Friday. Friday where I am, but not for too much longer. Tried to get on earlier, and then I had the thing hooked up to respond to something else because, I'm like, oh, I'm about to log in. Of course, some shit happens. But that's okay if you can't talk much. You kind of explain stuff to me. Muffin, it's really great to see you. So we were talking about how you found my channel through, and Will, maybe you'll be interested in this. You found my channel through a German gentleman. I'm kind of assuming that you mean Dragular. Forgive me. I try to say it all cool, but because he really liked my channel. His channel was pretty, maybe he had like a few thousand at the time. And so I know he's really into like Satanism, Luciferian, but just cemeteries and a lot of, kind of stuff that esoteric. So there's several films of me doing, drawing sigils. Because I said to him, hey, I really like your music, because he like makes his own homemade music, and it's all very atmospheric and dark, and it's kind of like a spooky Edwardian Victorian night kind of vibe. And so we lit candles, and then my husband filmed me doing some of these, rituals of stuff, and we put his music to it. So I think that, because his channel was a lot bigger than mine, it still is. It's just that I'm going to say that I probably had 300 subscribers at the time, maybe 200. So it just kind of gave me a little bit of a boost. And we're still really good friends. He stops by sometimes, man. And so, I'll have to give him a little shout out, actually, on whatever next video I post. It had, should be my book list, because I completed rendering it. But, in between me trying to edit out me picking my nose and sneezing, whatever, because sometimes I'll just go, like, if I really get into a point, I might just kind of go on and on a little bit too much, and then I'd like to try to cut that out. I mean, I leave funny stuff in, or even stoner stuff in, but, just to try to make it a little bit more compact and social. But I want to do timestamps so that everybody can kind of keep track of that. And so I'm going to publish a list of 100 things that I just recommend reading. I'm going to do it 4 parts. So I'll do it once a year, but, since 2023, so it's hard to believe it's the burger months, September already. So I did like 25, and it's kind of all mixed up, but there will be timestamps, and then, we'll move on to, I'm going to bring out my hard copies. I don't have a fuck ton of those anymore, because I lived in I suppose probably like most people in their 30s, you've had different situations. And I actually lived in an apartment that, it was really, really nice, from the outside, but it was just super infested with several different things. But the biggest problem was bed bugs. And in case you didn't know this about bed bugs, they do like books a lot, and I'm not really sure why. So I would find them all the time, and it is a real problem. So it was living rough for sure, because to basically do the treatment for that, you have to go live in your fucking car while you pay for your apartment. And it was just rampant in the apartments. They had, hidden it. So long story short, though, we all, my family and I, we made it through the whole situation. But there was a guy near me, and he knew all about the whole situation in the apartments. Also lived there, and he was actually a Iraq War veteran, and he became kind of hippie-ish and stuff when he came back. And so anything esoteric, I said, this is gross. You definitely got to toss it when you move. But it's really cool ass books about, some of this, the Masons, and then the Scottish rites from the Middle Ages. Just a lot of, I don't know. I even had rare copies. I had a few 1920s books. I think the worst was like an 1890 um, fucking book that I had, and it had actually been signed, and I just don't remember the second, who it was. But so over the years, I've gotten a few, hard copies that I keep permanently, but I have a really nice home, I would say, but it's tiny. So I don't have like a sprawling mansion for rooms for bookshelf. My kids are older enough that they're not gonna like fuck with it, like little kids. Maybe because little kids, you have to be careful with them for lots of reasons, but they like to pull on furniture, and that could, fortunately, I'm sure it does kill a lot of kids, but there's just that age where they just are trying to reach everything. And so my kids are definitely past that. They're young, but, with their stuff everywhere. That's what this blanket is in the background, because this is just, you know, um, art projects and, tea party stuff, you know. So, yeah. So basically, eventually, of course, we hope to upgrade, and certainly in my, it's a witch cave, bat cave. I'll settle on the name later, but you know, be able to. I'd love to have like a fucking, at least a nice rack of books, and then, I don't know. I mean, I love my puzzles, but now that's kind of not so bad because my kids are pretty bad. Bad. And I say bad, I mean they love them. In fact, on the couch behind me is a like it's a fucking mat, and we have like a bigger. I think this one behind me is like 500 pieces, and it's of a national park. It's really beautiful, and it has Native Americans in it. So if you guys ever like want to see that, but they like to do whatever, maybe 100, 300 piece puzzles. So they'll literally just get their mat out and they'll do one like that, so that they don't have to take apart the big one. But they'll do the big one too. I mean, people say that's really great for that age. But I mean, I've seen really, brilliant children do like 1,000-piece puzzles and stuff. I don't know, man. I like about the 500, 550. To me, whatever, that's good. But anyway, I know I'm just going on and on with stuff, but yeah. So, and then also what I'm reading is definitely going to include some ideas about grounding and medical journals, talking about noise pollution, why I'm going to promote saving the trees and ground and science. I really am interested in that. I think maybe I am. If there is an interest to me, is that like, kind of multifaceted. So I have, a Bachelor of Arts in history, but I'm also like a psychic. So it's kind of weird, right? Do I know about the Victorian era because, I've read 1,000 books on it? Or do I know about it because of, previous life, longing, whatever memories? So what happens if you combine the two? It's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's whatever. Sound and visual. Well, sound and visuals. Okay. So yeah, sound and visuals are manifestations. So we perceive things through our senses, and that is one of the books I'm going to recommend is Stalking the Wild Pendulum, and I will recommend that every year at the top of my list. This gentleman really, he's basically kind of like the grandfather of quantum mechanics, and I butcher his name right now, but give me a second, y'all, because Will brings up lots of cool stories, and I really do enjoy all the topics you throw out here. But and Will, I was just curious if you've heard of this guy, but okay, I'm not even gonna try to like pronounce his first name, but his last name's like Bentov, so it's like Bentov. Pretty close, and his best book is Stalking the Wild Pendulum. He wrote a few other things, but so his entire family killed by the Nazis, and he was the only one that survived the Holocaust. He was born in the 1920s. I mean, he was a young man at that time, and he ended up going with other relatives, extended relatives, to the United States, and really started talking about his ideas. And actually, some really, self-aware hippies kind of interviewed him about what's the purpose of this, and his thoughts on evolution and all this stuff. But his idea is that, what is the purpose of us as humans, or the whole living experience, is to evolve the senses. And he is correct. So he brings up the example that in biblical times they only write about a few colors, and that is because that is all that human beings saw as the visual spectrum. Now we see hundreds of colors, and of course it varies depending on who you are, and maybe like genetics, and of course you have like eye disorders. And hey, you know what, definitely, speaking of that, no one is perfect. So I mean, I got to kind of keep my eye on my eye. That's kind of funny. But I have one of my eyes is kind of lazy, so I've had it like looked at, and they don't really think like anything's like wrong with me. It's just a lazy eye. So even when I'm like, yeah, fucking, I don't know, man. Like if I was like, yeah, I'm getting all dressed up to go out for like a concert or to do a tarot session in person, and I really want to dress a certain persona, because I'm either going to dress psychedelic or like this, or in my pajamas, whatever. But if I'm like, I'm trying to create that atmosphere, and no matter what I've got going on, I'm still going to have a lazy eye. So hey, even we've all got our like little quirk, I think, about ourselves that we're like, whatever. I also fucking oh man. So I actually have like an egg-shaped head. When I was young, for whatever reason, my mom never taught me how to like do my own hair, and so I would like try to part my hair down the middle, and I would feel, I don't know, off. Like I would just look in the mirror, at that age, like 7, 8 years old, where you're kind of really forming different types of memory. And so sorry, I'm a little congested, but you're really forming different kinds of memories. And I was just like, oh, I wish I could do, kind of do something different with my hair. So one day, just kind of, I rolled out of bed, and it was kind of part of the side. I thought, gosh, it looks a lot better. Oh my God, I'm gonna go get a Kleenex. Okay. Yeah, definitely fall. Well, I have the worst allergies when it's like the beginning of this, beginning of the decomposition. So I even have a humidifier going on, right out of range here, kind of like behind me. But yeah, so whatever. I'm a simple person in a lot of regards, so that's worked out for me forever. And so it also is kind of funny. Can't really wear hats like that. There's like maybe one or two. I kind of do the witch hat look, but like, no, for real. Like I am like, oh my God, no. I don't know. Just funny stuff. UFO drama. It depends on what drama we're talking about. To be honest with you, I've heard about fucking a bunch of people were talking to me about UFOs lately. So I mean, be a little more specific. It's really cool you're interested in UFOs, and yeah, I've never had a personal experience with UFOs, but I mean, I think it's really interesting how a lot of Native Americans describe basically what would amount to aliens. Maybe we are aliens. Like whatever way you want to think of it, which is true because, I mean, everything that we are and the Earth came from space. So, like, you know, as far as like sentient alien stuff, I'm not sure. Like psychological operation, like, so maybe give me an example or kind of lead me down your path of thoughts here. Anyway, and Robin, thanks for stopping by too. I'll definitely have that out in a few days here. Otherwise, somebody go into some stuff. I got my water. And nice to hydrate, and I got my coffee, of course. Brave Road Beast. And that particular, it does ring a bell, but not, I'm not coming up with specifics offhand here. But I mean, the same kind of stories I've heard from people who've seen, a lot of people who've seen things that we can maybe describe as something like a Bigfoot, a skinwalker. Basically, like, maybe it sounds like a dog, but it only has like, this 2 legs, and it's just this different body proportions, kind of like in ancient Egypt where, we've got the animals that it's like part hippo and crocodile. So, people describe that, and it's really wild. I mean, is that kind of, would you love to kind of give us a little basic idea of what the Bray Road Beast is, and maybe, what your interest is in it? It's in Wisconsin. That's cool. I love the Midwest. Definitely, I got my family, a lot of them there, and I haven't been there in a few years, but I do love how different it is, obviously, from the Southwest. And everything is it pop or soda, right? So they all call it pop. Like, it sounds like you want to fucking pop somebody. Like, it's the, soda, because you sound like, there's a few other words. People have said to me before that, you have like a Southern accent? So not many, but I did spend about 4 years in Austin, Texas, then, Mexico, Utah, a lot all over Southwest, but also, just Texas is the South, so I don't know about that, but I meant, like, I don't know if I really have an accent. It's just kind of funny. Well, it's cool. I'll definitely look into it. Bray Road Beast. I'm interested in all of it. I mean, yeah. As far as that goes, I perceive a lot of things that are non-human, and I think that there's different reasons for it, but a lot of it is that there are so many things that we don't know or have discovered. We talk about physically as humans, but I think it's also just like there are these other kinds of species that are just in different dimensions too. So it's all kind of cool. Yeah. So, well, Wisconsin. I was hanging out with my cousin, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we got these cheese. It's like a fucking hat, cheese head hats," because they went to some festival, and I thought that was really funny. I mean, not gonna lie, it was a cheese festival and it was really good cheese. Bring out a tray of crackers, and I'll probably have a glass of kombucha. Open to flavor suggestions, maybe blueberry. Not really a whole lot I don't like. I even like the bitter sour ones, and that's just really relaxing. I don't know if it's because it's got like that fizz quality. But yeah, cool stuff. Got a lot of legends out here in the Southwest for sure. Basically, in a nearby mountain, it's thought that basically beings from other realms come out of the mountain, which is really interesting because new forms of life come out of these shifts in, plates are shifting, right? That's what mountains, are volcanoes. In most cases, ancient volcanoes. So the plates shifted, the earth, what was like halfway between ground and the core is now, on the top. And so, deep within the earth is some of the, newest forms of bacteria. Yeah. So new life, new consciousness comes from the earth. And I think that it does kind of come up through these shifting plates and manifest, in those kinds of ways. And so people will perceive it as, as fairies, giants, and really these are just different manifestations of nature. Nature has human form, spirit form, God's nature. It's kind of like the idea of animism. But so what is up, y'all? Now, yeah, I'm sorry about coughing. I know I'm a little bit of a stoner, which I am. I haven't been smoking as much lately, but it's because I've probably been having some allergies here. I mean, I do all the good stuff like some echinacea and just, lemon water, apple cider, raw garlic. But I mean, with all these new invasive species, no matter where you live, your immune system has to, unfortunately, integrate it. And that's not fun. So, what I'm doing my puzzle on the board behind me. It's Crater Lake National Park in Oregon. It's the bluest lake in all of North America. One of the deepest. It's not the top one, I guess. And it's because it was a volcano 8,000 years ago, and it collapsed in on itself, and so Crater Lake. It literally looks like, as the name implies. So it's just fresh water. And really interesting is the Native Americans in that area actually have in their oral tradition the story about the formation of Crater Lake, and it ended up, coming, matching up with, like the science of how it happened and when. So I think that's really cool. We're talking fucking 8,000 years ago. So 8,000 years ago, a certain people, told their story, and they just passed it down and passed it up for thousands of years undisturbed by, modern culture. And then even through modern culture, still kept that story going. And that's, to me, that's really fantastic, right? It's like, I kind of love that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what the fuck are you guys up to? I am, hanging out with you guys. So sometimes I have more time for that than others. My kids will get a school break at some point. And then, I've got to start planning some outings and, extracurricular stuff and going to friends' houses, going to meet them, going to do this and that. Everybody's fucking excited for Halloween, which me, of course. So, all the normal stuff like that. What else I got? Oh. Okay. I didn't pack me a bowl. Me from a couple hours ago or whatever, and I don't know. I tried to get on like an hour ago. I did, talk with my kids, make them comfortable. And then I had to, make myself comfortable here too with this humidifier. But I mean, fucking, I just didn't have the audio all set up. Now I do. yeah, lots of cool stories. Lots of stuff coming up. I'm gonna take the remainder of videos I have filmed and kind of render them, and then definitely cemetery shit in the next like week. It's happening. I'm really excited. And wanting to do that for a long time, and it's definitely nothing professional. I mean, if anybody out there really wants to talk to me about that kind of stuff, or work with me, let me know. Otherwise, it's going to be us history. I'll make it exciting, and we'll bring offerings, and I will sit and have some libations and whatever I feel appropriate to. Because when I open, before, let's say I'm going to go to a cemetery in a couple days, I will start receiving, visuals, dreams, messages about specific stuff, specific people, or, a scene maybe. And so it ends up kind of knowing, like, or going that, like, I'll know what to bring. They kind of sense the astral plane is very fast and stuff. So they sense, that I'm coming before I even do so. And that's fine. I mean, I'll take requests. There's a lot of standard stuff that spirits really like, but, fucking, if somebody, wants different, there's a whole range of things that ghosts south, conveyed to me that they want. And then I just, I also try to, I don't push any religion. I just a human to human, and any that need help, I'll take them nearby in nature with me, and then I'll create sound vibration, light vibration, just so that they can move on. If that's something that that I can sense needs to happen, because I don't want to leave people who want to move on behind. I'm not there for amusement, and I feel like this is pretty much a privilege for me, and an honor, and I'm going to use my gift to help. So good night, Robin. I really appreciate you stopping by. I kind of love chatting with other women. It's a lot of fun. It seems like my audience is kind of becoming, more female. But if you ever want to catch up with me on email, that's always in my description. Otherwise, take care. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. I'm still going to be on for a little bit. Each of the 12 months energy. October isn't the 8th month, so isn't it October is like the 10th, right? Because Christmas, whatever, December is 12, November is 11, so 8 is like August. But I believe that's because isn't that based on the Gregorian calendar, January 1st and all that, classic shit that we all know about. I believe that's, why it is the way it is, which I'm always really interested in, too. Different concepts of time. We have to name it something. Name it days, different things. But, well, it looks like Robin checked out, so, shoot me a topic. Kermit, what's up? You are my amazing British friend who has some very deep ideas and kind of come to a lot of same conclusions as me, and kind of we're both really interested in objects and different, things like that. So it's really cool. It's a really great friendship, and how are you doing? Just fine. Wherever I know you're. So I'm sure that it's Saturday in Britain. Just reading about Winston Churchill. I think maybe the news I was seeing was older, but it was like Winston Churchill's great or maybe great grandson was doing something out here in the United States. I think it was like it had to do with school, so it was something like, donating to a grant or a fund for schools like in America. I mean, I'm sure I know their family does a lot, but and there was a photo of the gentleman, and he's probably like younger 20s, I think, and man, I mean, he looks like him a little bit. It's crazy how it is. I mean, it's funny how like you'll have like a mom or a grandma, and you know the mom and the grandma, they look a little bit alike. You can tell they're related, but then you'll have like a grandkid, and they'll just be like, you know, you used to see a picture of them at the same age, and it's like, whoa, that looks like the same person, the same individual. And I think that's real interesting. Just finishing my coffee. 6 a.m, nice. Atavism. Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about like the idea of like psychometry, where you feel objects and touch an object, and then you can really get a lot out of it. But I don't think I've heard that specific term. I mean, I probably have, but so don't, you can enlighten us if you wish. Can be seen as portals. Will's got a good question. So do you feel that videos on the internet can be seen as portals? Yeah, I mean, it's a portal to, yes, a portal is transformative. So if you take in whatever content, and especially if that really impresses upon you psychologically, consciously or not, it's definitely opened you as a person in some way. It can be positive or negative, but I think I think that a lot of it has to do with the intent and stuff. Now, I mean, there's a difference between like, actually being in a physical location, and portals, you can feel them, or even being in a haunted house where there's portals that have been opened for whatever reason, and then just kind of like let's say watching a scary movie, or you're researching an idea. It kind of depends, because I think for highly sensitive people, it can kind of be that, so highly sensitive people kind of open portals anyway, unless they know how to control their energy a little bit. So you gotta, be mindful of what you're giving your attention to. We all gotta absorb and take stuff in, and that's okay, because that's kind of, one of the purposes of life here. But just kind of be that self-aware, and definitely, you can agree with 95% of an idea that you see, and then just still be, aware of that, what you really feel, bring your own mindset and critical eye, or even whatever emotional mindset to it, just so that you're always kind of maintaining that individual identity. I think then that's probably be true across the board in life, yeah, deep stuff. Fucking reemerge. Oh, is where. Yeah, it's really interesting. Fuck. So yeah, so I mean, I basically have called him my spirit guide, but to me, that's kind of more gods and this kind of stuff. The dead man who will follow me everywhere for cemetery stuff and kind of necromancy, most rituals. He saved my grandfather's life, and my mom is not open at all. She's just does not take care of herself, and is just, shut herself off, and that's the best way to explain it. And so I think that might have to do with he got passed through to me through blood. And so because it's just that, removed from my grandfather, I've got Native American here. I'm 1/8 Native American, and I'm already, was going to be open as that, the aspects of the person I am. I think that just kind of was a perfect opportunity for this guy he saved my grandfather's life because what I do know is that he met him on at least a few occasions. I think like 3. And he saw him as pure or innocent, meaning, having a good purpose. And he had done these things that are just, terrible. And he decided, I'm going to save this guy. I'm going to change the course for this guy. And then he, so he's doing his penance through me because I could perceive him. And so he's been a really great help to me. I will always announce that he's here with me, and our purpose is pure. And I don't know, does that mean that, he's going to be able to find forgiveness? I think that when I die, that he'll eventually, that he'll be able to move on. But he's choosing to stay here and protect me. I do not want to get rid of him. I have way more interactions, he's constantly here if I need him. It's not really the case with my grandfather. So like, yeah, I'm gonna just keep having that, But anyway, my grandfather didn't really talk to me too much about it personally, but man, do I have a lot of what I highly suspect are little aspects of his subjective memory. And we talked about the importance of the classics, how it's just such a shame that people don't, really, they're not like, everybody just fucking reads Shakespeare in school. But, there's so much, the Iliad, the Odyssey, the search for man's self, the myths, just, we talked about that. And he was an engineer, so he understood electricity and, tried to explain to me, the importance of grounding. But I, at the time, I probably didn't exactly understand it. So, yeah, I am going to try to help a lot of souls. He was a low-key spiritualist, but kind of common and things like that at the time. The craziest story from with him is that we were sitting around and people were kind of off doing other things. Whatever, like step grandmother, wasn't a lot of other people there, and we were there, and we had been in the kitchen previously. He had, like his stuff set on a counter and stuff. And he had a little tray with, I think, a few bells on it. They're like those little old school bells that people would use back in the day because, you didn't have a cell phone. It's like, I need help, ring your bell. And it had just been quiet. And I heard like, it went a few times. It was like, a bell, somebody fucking picking it up and ringing it. Probably like 6 times. And I looked at him and he didn't acknowledge, okay, I should say he wasn't afraid. He kind of, I don't know, maybe he smiled a little bit. Thought, but I really heard a physical bell being picked up and, a bell ringing. And if he heard it too, which I know he did, then that means that he was used to spirits in some way or another, because it didn't faze him. Most people, you're whatever. There's just two people there, and the only logic, you start hearing voices, or you start watching whatever objects come flying off the counter. The person who's never experienced it before is gonna go fuck. They're gonna start screaming and shit their pants, run away. Adrenaline, and none of that happens. So I'm convinced that to an extent he. So obviously, I believe a lot of souls that were needing help followed him as well, and I'm hoping that I can continue to help a lot of people. Definitely, when we go to cemeteries, I'm going to bring some coins with me, and coins, going back to ancient Greece, is like the way to pay the ferryman, and different coins mean different things, especially with the military, and so. I'm gonna, acknowledge and respect, and knowledge transcends life and death, and that it's like that. That's the ultimate completion. Oh, the colors can be associated with taste. Oh my gosh. So, okay, let me think of the best way to put this. Don't know if you've ever done psychedelics, and that doesn't, whether you have or not. One thing to know, obviously, is that psychedelics of any kind are going to, affect your perception, due to the neurotransmitters and stuff. So when people like have psychedelic mushrooms or they drop acid, whatever, their senses will, they experience it as their senses are blending together. So they'll be like, after their trip, like, I saw the colors going up the wall and coming off. I could, hear the smell that was coming from the oven. And, some people freak out about it, and other people just think it's trippy, whatever. But, when the psychedelic effects wear off, whatever, the person will go back to having, I'm hearing something and seeing something differently. Like, that's the normal kind of reality, right? I have synesthesia. So no, I seriously do. I just have never really, but I mean, that's just how I am. So I don't think about that too much. But I guess the best way to put it is like, it's like I'm tripping all the time. If you wanted to put it that way, like, when as I'm thinking, I just perceive colors. To me, tastes have colors. So when I trip, it's kind of like, man, it's almost like that dulls it a little bit, because it's like, it's almost like disassociating to me, from that, because that's already my normal reality. I don't pay too much attention to it, other than, I mean, I can get overstimulated pretty easy. I mean, I know a lot of people do in modern life. But I think it's just a lot of sensory information, whatever that mechanism of action is. And so I know that makes me sound nuts and crazy. Who knows if that has to do with, it's like, when people get hit by a car, let's say, and they survive, and then they, come out and say they have psychic abilities, or after a near-death experience, maybe that somehow it wires the brain differently. Because, I mean, that's a difference, right? So yeah, I could kind of, perceive different realities, and it took me a long time. I mean, it took me a lot of a lot of side paths on growing up to figure out how to, try techniques that help me with my energy, because otherwise it's just like being insane. Because it's like, put it this way, if I would feel sad, then, all this all these sounds and the stimuli that I'm perceiving that's already connected anyway, it's like noise pollution in my mind, right? It's just like I'm not just sad, I'm tasting it and smelling it, independent of the environment, because it's just like how that is. So I have to I had to learn how to do that, and then I could kind of tune into spirits, and then also tune out. Like it's time for bed. No one's allowed to jump into my body. And most of the time, I will sense the gentleman who saved my grandfather's life with me. And it's just a very subtle scent. Now, that's been with me since I was a kid, you know, because he's very subtle, except for except for some of the, I would say the most maybe feel him the most when I get the most detailed information, stuff like that. There can be some other exceptions, but yeah. So never, that was never scary. I mean, I think that he tried to, intervene when I was younger, but I didn't know how to control my own energy. So that kind of, it's a theory on poltergeist, like that poltergeist activity can come from living people, and seems to be a case for me too when I was younger, because people would describe seeing me in places I wasn't. So I think that it was astral projecting a little bit, and that, not understanding what that is. Because, I mean, think about it this way. There's a lot of people out there. Let's say, I know I remember my last life, right? There's a lot of people out there, though, that they do too. I mean, and I'm not talking just like by the time a kid's 5 and they don't really remember, they're not so young and open, but people will still continue to remember parts of their past life, but they think that it's a memory, a dream, maybe a story they heard. And so it's not like, oh yes, it's this, deep revelation, because how many people would what's more, accepted by society to think. And I'm not saying that it's always, of course you're going to have, dreams and stuff that feel very real. Or you're going to, someone could even tell you a story, and then you'll catch yourself thinking, be like, hey, I went to get ice cream, right, at this one place. And then you instantly start imagining that visual in your mind, right? So it's just that connection. And you get lost in that, but that feels real. So, I mean, I think it's very easy to dismiss it. It took me a long time to understand what that was, my subjective memories in my past life, and then especially what to do with it. It was just like, pain and sadness, and these really dramatic parts. But when I finally really started to pay attention to how I felt in my body, my thoughts, I didn't think that time went by fast. I wasn't, in pain. I wasn't bored. It wasn't like, oh man, it's it's 1930. I'm not bored. I'm content. And that is one of the best things about having, my memory like that, is that what I want out of my life is to always make sure I'm trying to match that level of contentment that I used to have. Because I do know that living in more harmony with the earth, and, pick and choose what is good for me. I want to feel pretty content, to just be alive, just be a human, wasn't all broke up about the past, or wasn't worried about the future. So, to just, I just love that, because modern life is so fragmented and stuff. And I finally was able to turn that into a blessing, and whatever. So anyway, really cool stuff. So, I think so. I think that people, okay, Will here brings up a good question. Let's say somebody is, Helen Keller, blind. Does that enhance their other senses? Usually, it kind of I think it depends. So if you're born that way, I would imagine that the neurotransmitters and nerve endings and the whole enchilada like that has to do with perception. I think that it would probably, you know, route the person that way. Um, because you know, there is that one less sense. And so, yeah, I mean, just like, if one day you woke up and you were just completely blind, I, you know, pretty sure that your hearing you would perceive it as getting better. It's not really that your hearing's getting better. It's just that now you have to rely on that. And so it's kind of like, um, I think that, you can do sensory deprivation to heighten your senses, um, meditation, stuff like that. Um, but as far as the senses, okay, so what's interesting with that too is that um, when people are grounded, got to circle back to this, of course, the senses are also balanced. So it's kind of like with the circadian rhythm being, tied to the earth. It's like why people didn't have insomnia 100 years ago. And so that also would balance the senses. Well, I guess what I'm saying is like back 100 years ago, there weren't as many people who broke into homes, and it definitely not very much successfully, because a lot of people still slept. I mean, like back in the day, there was just dirt floors a lot of the times too. You're grounded, you're not in pain, and something comes through your window at night or your door, you're not going to hear that later, like a modern person, and now it's too late for action. Right away, the senses alert, like a cat. And that's how humans are supposed to be. So we really do have sharp senses, but it's about, we're not grounded anymore. And so we just, rely on sight and whatever. And that's not even our strongest sense. So that's interesting to me because I have basically in my last life, somebody tried to come to my home. Probably thought it's like the spooky old witch cabin. It has since burned down. It's fine with me. I've moved on. Yeah. But like, the more I thought of it, it was like, no, I wasn't scared. I heard it. And, but before I even woke up, because I had so much instinct and intuition, I just knew what was good, just gravitated towards that. And I think that's why. Also, people would sleep with windows open and have cats to, get fucking, whatever kinds of dangerous bugs out. And cats are kind of pets are an extension of our senses. But most importantly, it's just that, modern people take forever to wake up because of our disconnection to our circadian rhythm and stuff. And so we're not receiving the proper signals from the earth to make our senses, work the way they're supposed to. So these are just my thoughts on it. Would love to hear yours too. Well, I'm slowly finished my coffee, so I haven't even smoked a bowl this whole time. You guys just make me talk all the time. Fuck. Can't wait for the October live stream, and then I don't know. I'm gonna take whatever shit I have on my camera off. Just finish rendering it, and then I had to reset up some equipment because my husband, he likes to try and make his own games, and I had to find some other stuff to reconnect all this, but back in business, and we'll head out to that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. About every animal. I mean, hey, elephants, crows, ravens, primates are pretty fucking close to humans. Dolphins. hey, I think it's really interesting. Coco the gorilla. It was a gorilla that actually met with Robin Williams several times. They asked the gorilla what happens when animals die, and the gorilla signed because it did signs, basically sign language, and it signed. Animals go to a comfortable hole in the ground. You know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And that just means that literally, everything will be broken down. So when we, oh my God, I just dumped coffee on my face. God damn it. But we when we do go and do all this other stuff, I'm pretty excited. I love the symbolisms of course the lambs are supposed to be like children, but I just love the history and of course all the Greek symbolism. That's basically you know most classical cemeteries we think of. I mean, flowers are not alive long. That's a lot of those are on graves, but they're literally carved in the stones. Life is fragile, fleeting, and quick. But also when we do go to cemeteries, some people get really sad about their like they look at headstones and they might just be completely taken over by vines in nature, which is going to be more common in nature. To some extent, I mean, if there's a minor kind of restoration or problem with a grave site, then I think it's worth fixing it or trying to find the right people to fix the situation. But if it's just being fucking, I mean, swallowed by nature, that's what's supposed to happen. So whether we stop it and restore the grave, or buildings in downtown wherever you live, it's all going to go back into the earth. It's just a matter of how long, because the earth consumes everything that it put out. So don't be too broken up about it, because the dead are with our mom and um, feeding the earth. One of the most interesting things is that I found through anthropology, there was a situation where they were looking at, they excavated some graves that had been discovered at a residential area. They were supposed to have been moved to a new cemetery, but we all know how that goes, especially 1800s, because they build cemeteries in the middle of town, and then it becomes whatever a center, and you have to move the dying or the dying, sick, dead, all that kind of stuff away from everybody. Um, so there was basically, it was like a wooden coffin, and it had collapsed in on the decedent, and so basically the biggest decay was where the acids from the wood had broken the person down, even really helping break down the bones too, because a dead person is buried in a dead tree, so Mother Nature is going to break all that down. But metal, there's people will have their jewelry, right? Like it could be silver, copper, things like that, different metals. But even those high grade metals, where like coffin handles, but it would actually be in contact with the body, well preserved. I mean, so the metals were actually protect, um, uh, the human body even well after death. But yeah, so it's really cool. I like to wear a lot of silver. Just it's also why I think it's cool to wear rocks. It might not be exactly. It's not like wearing an amethyst isn't gonna like make you vibrate exactly with the earth, but that's all, helping the energy flow. Especially like, if you the real silver, anything like that, recessive, just helps the electrical aspects of the human body flow. Yeah. So, gosh, I'm gonna stay on like 10 more minutes. So I'm gonna take like, I don't know, two more topics. Hopefully, I don't spill coffee myself. But it's been chill hanging out with you guys. Sorry I fucked up the microphone earlier, but I mean, I still am on here a good hour. I don't know, 15 minutes. I'll do whatever. So yeah, just I'll do another one of these next month. But if you have something to say tonight, tell me while I smoke a bowl. I'm not telling anybody to do any of this stuff. This is just me living my life. So you're all responsible for your own thoughts and lives. But we are adults here chatting together, or at least, you're here just chatting with me, the understanding that these are just my thoughts. Oh yeah. Right. The freezing. Well, temperature is a lot. Has a lot to do with stuff. Temperature is everything. So, I mean, like, it's kind of like why, when it gets just a little bit cold, we want to put socks on our feet, because despite what people say, that people always say, especially the female genitals have the most nerve endings, and that's not true. It's the bottom of everyone's feet, and that has to do with survival. Has to do with like orientation and temperature regulation. So you're sensing, because we're supposed to be grounded as animals, you're sensing temperature changes through your feet, and so it's just temperature is just so critical. I mean, it's like nowadays everybody has fevers and all this kind of stuff, same kind of reasons. But there was in Scotland in the 1970s, a school trip it was supposed to be like a day or overnight, like, camping kind of idea, to some kind of it's kind of mountains. I'll post about an actual, where this is. But anyway, it's just a group of people, and it was a terrible storm. So they got snowed in, and they really didn't have enough shit. So they ended up huddling in this like little shelter thing they sort of made. And out of that one group, there was only like 3 survivors. One woman fucking crawled to survive, and she lost like some finger. I mean, she would have like died if like somebody didn't find her like 5 minutes. But the only kid who survived, though, out of this group of like 8, because there was like 1 or 2 teachers, was the dude in the middle, who was the fucking skinniest, shortest, runt, and he lived. So to me, that's like, it's not about the amount of oxygen, really. I mean, temperature is critical. Your temperature hits 105, the human body will start having seizures because it can't regulate any functions. So neurons like fire, and that has to do with temperature regulation. So it's just crazy, because the decedents were just a couple of degrees away from survival. And this kid, I mean, he probably would have been dead within hours as well. He went on to actually do some really cool musical stuff, like classic music, and I think he went on to become a music teacher. You guys can look that up. So it was like 1970 Scotland, where they went for it was teenagers and students, and the teachers were pretty young too. But they just went for like, it was some kind of mountain exploration thing, and then only like 2 or 3 people survived, including the one woman who, like, I believe she either lost some fingers or was collapsed already, unconscious and stuff like that. And then this one kid, and they say, hey, they decided this kid was so tiny that he would, they huddled around him to try to keep him warm, because everybody else, they probably thought oh, I have a little bit of body fat. I'm like, let's run whatever his name is. They fucking gave their lives for him. I mean, it's just profound. Anytime that's in my, the way I feel is that if there's a lot of situations like that, and we look through history, survival of humans in such trials and tribulations is just, speaks to the testament of us humans, really. I mean, we might not seem too special, but well, we are. I mean, they still have a soft spot for us and hope. So yeah, what is up? So I don't know, one or two topics. I'll straight up cut it at like 10, 12 minutes from now. And, basically I'm going to go do some cool stuff with my husband. Oh yeah, we're watching, I kind of like, have my hands busy and puzzle or do kind of do other stuff, but Good Omens. So there's like season 1 and now there's season 2 and it's just a demon and angel kind of chatting. Some parts of it are kind of boring. I mean, I don't, I like to kind of have the television more now, but that's something at least kind of catches my interest a little bit. I think we're supposed to do some chill stuff like that. And then, of course, only hours away from, Mom, I want to go do this. I want to go do that. I'm hungry. And I love it. I live for it. But it's going to happen in a few hours, no matter what. Not really like a few hours, but yeah. Life is different, when you get that. Life is just different for me in that way. But I love it, and that's just, this feels like this is the life I'm supposed to be living. I hope you guys are all doing good as well. I fucking, my allergies are subsiding a little bit now that it's a little bit later, but, and they are better because I've really kept up with, like to go walking, hiking, and I've been on like about 3 hikes recently, so I think I stay in pretty good shape. So I think that kind of does help the immune system build that, kind of, so you're not, instead of dying of allergies, you're just minorly inconvenienced. So, yeah. Wow, are you like allergic to something? Like if you have to get, allergy shots. I never got shots. I had to take, it's like, as a kid, take either liquid or chewables. And that's just because, they're so fucking small that their airways are underdeveloped. Even me, I'm like 5'1.5". So, I could pass in height for a child a little bit. If you're not like looking at me. I kind of have to like take that conscious effort if I'm going to take a pill that's slightly bigger than average size, because I'm a small person. So kids take liquids or chewables, and I just remember having to do the whole, I don't know. There's a list. They still do it, at least in my kids' school, where they have to have a certain immunization record. You submit that with your official documents and all kind of stuff. So yeah, dehumidifiers are good. Even what we've tried a little bit. You could purchase it too. It's a machine that will put negative ions out into the air. So basically, that just neutralizes air pollution, and you'd be surprised. But you really got to research the right one too, because you don't want to buy a crap product. But so circulating air, like we were just talking about with our good old Victorian friends, is healthy. It contains, it's basically the grounding system, Mother Nature's grounding system in the air. So it makes you feel good, helps you function, get less sick, and it just, um, germs thrive in this sort of confined space like homes. It's, part of all that. So, um, but this will kind of neutralize some of that. I mean, you could get air filters. We do that too. But anything really helps. So, yeah, try that, or get, hey, if you really can't sleep, get a grounding mat. Let me know hey, and if something works for you that, we talk about, definitely let me know. That shit's exciting to me. Or, really whatever. Huh. Shellfish, yeah. Well, kind of, it's just our modern lives, man. It's all autoimmune. So it's the immune system attacking itself. And, I mean, genetics kind of happen with that, and that interacts with the environment. But, part of it is modern people, our immune systems are decreasing. So we're not, our bodies just over respond. It's like putting out constant white blood cells, and, and it's not supposed to do that. So it's, the body is kind of like a machine, and then it starts to misfire by, continuing to, basically attack something that doesn't need to be attacked, because of, the modern life. We're insulated. We're eating preservatives, sodium, and sugar, high amounts of sugar. But take the pick. So, of course, what are the effects of that? And you could literally, look that up individually if you're curious, and it's not good. But so we're all suffering from in some way, whether it's allergies, depression. Of course, there's going to be effects, and you think about it, it's like, well, I wonder how more people even function. I think that the human spirit is really resilient, and we're trying. Our bodies are trying, but your body is not supposed. Our bodies aren't meant to just be. So, when we get it out of that hyper state of, which is when your body's digesting, it's not putting out adrenaline and stuff. It's not constantly doing that. So let's say something does happen, your body counters it, like an allergy was what it perceives. It will just send antioxidants to that site. It might put that out into your blood, and then it stops doing it instead of continuing to go. And so it will put out that specific antioxidant that is needed for the situation. Otherwise, the body just kind of, puts out a bunch of antioxidants, that it probably doesn't really need, that aren't appropriate for the situation. So it's just kind of trying to guess, and it's just an overdrive. But if you give your body that time to relax, something happens, it can respond in that specific way. So that's why our modern bodies are just firing off randomly, because they're constantly in this adrenaline state. Of course, unless you do things about it, which I do. But I also live in, as a modern person, I can't, this is my life. This is me now. And, I definitely just embrace being a normal ass person as well. But I will try to mitigate, some of these effects, some of these things I'm aware of. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sun helps when you're sick. You're very right. I mean, and vitamin D is so important. It was like one of the big things is if you do vitamin D, or, you're not having enough, your hair will start falling out. But I mean, that's what, when we talked about grounding. Grounding is you're getting electrons. So sun, the father time energy, that masculine aspect of creation, through your feet, you're getting sun. As above, so below. As above is the sun, and you need that as well, in these amounts. So, all provided. Yeah, and all that good stuff. Yeah, we try some of that. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to be aware of. Like people, okay, this will be my last one. Oh, peace out, guys. Have a little coffee with me though. But you get sick, right? You get a cold, and the people just like they go out and they buy zinc and they take like half a fucking bottle, and they're like, well, I'm not, getting. I thought I was getting better, and then they sort of tank back, depletes their energy, or they just end up, not getting over their illness fast. It's because zinc will, um, if there's too much of it, your body doesn't store zinc, so it uses it right then. But if you take too much, it's going to deplete some of the other vital, minerals like copper, which helps, ground you, help your body to stop producing too much white blood cells and hydrogen peroxide. So, um, yeah, you don't, so if you take too much zinc, you're just going to deplete, the rest of your minerals that your body actually will store. And so you'll end up just getting sicker for like longer than if you didn't overdo it on the zinc. Yeah, take a little bit. Sure. Absolutely. But don't fucking, don't fuck yourself by taking, way too much of it. It's just, oh man. So, there's just so much to really be cognizant, of, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. Probably not. Yeah, good. It's a good boost for sure. And sounds like a very grounded, approach that, I mean, at least in my understanding, um, there's so much to know. That's kind of the cool thing about what is the nature to be human? What's going on? We'll never know. That's why we'll never be happy. You could be in a palace, you could have a family, whatever your dream is of completion. If you literally live that, you wouldn't just be like, wow, I'm happy. And I long for nothing. We're always going along. There's always something more to learn. Specifically, our senses still need to evolve so that the God consciousness, which is what I call it basically, can sense everything on all frequencies subjectively. And that's what it's doing through us. So, just some thoughts, as I say. It's hard to eat healthy. Dandelion greens are really good, just like garlic. It's not as nasty as garlic too. But if you just add it to a salad or like a smoothie or something, whole range of B vitamins, minerals, stuff you need. The best thing to do is to get it from food sources because it's so soluble, which means it's the perfect way for your stomach, which is very acidic, to digest that and use it. If, for example, you take a vitamin capsule, it might even fucking be made of like parts of plastic, bones, different things like that. Your stomach cannot use that much. So you're just like basically taking it like a little magic, pill that's whatever from the Dollar General. And it's more like a placebo because your body can't absorb it unless it's soluble to this point, which, I mean, obviously food is. So that's why that is always such a pure way to get nutrients, is just by eating it. I mean, if you have to take supplements for whatever reason, you do your research and, you can look for things that are, going to be bioavailable to the stomach and stuff, and just be aware in that way and whatever. And then that takes care of the problem. But yeah, I love yoga. Yeah. It does make sense. El Picasso. Really cool name. And if you want to talk to me further, you can email me. Is it dangerous to take shots at apple cider vinegar? That's my last question. I'm logging off. So, Will, I appreciate you stopping by. Yes. Don't take, okay, apple cider vinegar is the exact pH of stomach acid. So if you just take, like, let's say you put it in a shot glass and you knock it back, You'll burn the enamel in your teeth. You'll burn your esophagus. Give yourself the heartburn you're probably trying to avoid. So that's why you have to dilute it in water. So, for example, okay, and this is like a little bit bigger mug than normal. I fill this most of the way. I like to hear, at 2 teaspoons, and I measure it out. So I shake the actual. I fucking have it right by me. A new bottle I start on. I shake it a little bit, so you get the fibers here at the bottom, and you don't have to like dump. You don't want to bait the thing, but to just kind of get that in there. And then, you'll measure it out in like 2 teaspoons, and stir it so it doesn't all just like go to the bottom, the fibers. It will settle, but you just stir it and then you drink it diluted, because that just dilutes that so that it doesn't burn your teeth or your throat. And, right away, whatever, it will. So that's not what, like people are like, oh, I have heartburn, it's too much acid. It's actually that you don't have enough acid. So your body tries to start digestion, and then you're getting the regurgitation, because that's why it's like food that's not digested. That's the thing, is it's not being broken down. And your food that you eat should start fucking being broken down immediately by a healthy body. And so, that's just that does help that. So it's just replacing your stomach acid. Every time our body adrenaline is triggered, different chemical reactions happen. So we piss out our stomach acid as adults. So that's why people can't digest stuff. So you do need to replace that. Other things, kombucha, apple cider, lemon water, which you also want to dilute. So just suck on a lemon. I mean, it's okay to like the taste of it, but like, don't just fucking eat lemons. And even for me, I like to swish a little bit of water in my mouth a few times a day and just spit it out, because it's, it is acidic, and you don't want to maybe just have that sitting on your teeth. But if you brush your teeth like twice a day and stuff like that, I mean, it really should not like have any kind of negative impact at all. But straight up, apple cider will definitely burn it. But I mean, it is, and I tell you what, it's great stuff. I mean, you got to ask about, drug interactions with whatever you like. Let's say you like one of my ideas, discuss it with your doctor, and kind of shoot that around. Because if you come with specific questions, doctors won't tell you a lot of stuff, but if you do have specific questions to direct them, I mean, that's pretty helpful. Yeah, it's just I know nature's offering us all this cool stuff, right? And we're just trying to listen. But El Picasso, I really enjoyed you stopping by. He had some cool topics too, and I got to get going to continue my life. But we'll definitely plan for an October live stream and be ready for my book list. I've talked about some of my thoughts about cemetery stuff. And, I'll let you guys know what else is next, and can't wait to take you guys with me out shooting. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.